welcome to my apiary. A buddy got me on chat last night, and he said, hey, I want some of those double screen boards that Bob Binney uses. And we got talking because I'm familiar with how he manages his bees and I'm familiar with his equipment. We got talking and I made some suggestions as to how to possibly modify the Bob Binney design to perhaps meet his needs a little bit better. Maybe make the equipment that I build a little more flexible for him, so that he can do different things. So what we came up with, well, I'll detail exactly the construction here in a minute, but he said, well, build 10 of these and we'll see how they work out. So I'm about to do that. And the first diversion I'm going to use from Bob's design is I'm going to use 3/8 material. I think that should be okay. And I know one of the principles behind the double screen board is to have the two screens far enough apart that the bees can't reach each other. I don't know how critical that really is, but maybe it is. But in what we decided to do, he suggested that maybe, he suggested 1/2-inch plywood. I don't have any. I've got a sheet of 5/8. I've got a bunch of 3/4, but he suggested 1/2, and I said, well, can I counter you with 3/8? Because I've actually got quite a bit of 3/8 right now. And he said, sure, we'll try that out. So we're going to try that. I think it'll probably be okay. This requires that I start by ripping this plywood in 20 1/4 strips. I'm going to compromise on my insistence that the grain go the long way, because he wants 10 of these, and I can get 10 out of this sheet if I cut it the way that goes against the grain, literally and figuratively. So I'll try to sleep, okay after that, because it doesn't suit my idiom. I'm going to turn this over because there's a little bit of a irregularity on that edge. I wanted to cut this way because it's kind of dirty on that side, but get that across the blade. Bring that blade up. Go to 20 1/4. I'm going to get my new fresh air cleaner going here. Dust collector. The next cut is 16 3/4. And I hate to show you this even, because this isn't really something you should do. If you do it, you have to be very, very careful. I'd normally cut that on the radial arm saw, but radial arm saw will barely cut 16.5, 16 3/4. It's certainly not going to cut 20 1/4. So I'm going to do this in a way that you shouldn't probably do. I'm going to make a cross cut on the table saw using the rip fence. And I'll tell you right now, that's a bad idea. But I know I can do it without incident. But I would not suggest to anybody that you try this. Too many things can go wrong. The problem is there's too much possibility of it going sideways and binding. So you have to be ultimately aware of that danger. Okay. Don't do this. I don't usually do stuff that I'll tell you not to do, but don't do that. I've got an 8-foot 2x4 here. I need to cut 18 5/8 pieces. Pretty square on the end, so I think I'll just go from there. Do this on the good old miter saw here that doesn't get all the respect it deserves, to be honest. I'm going to turn that around. A little easier to see the mark on this side. I realize this is a mobile base, and it's a really great mobile base. I should show you how it folds up sometime. It's just masterful the way they made it. I really wish they'd made some little place to put your pencil or your measuring tape. There's not much place for that kind of thing. Oh, they're still locked. Touch that and make sure everything's on. Yeah. Actually, I think I'm off. I marked it 18 9/16 instead of 18 5/8. Just 1/16 short. And this is kind of important at this one. This is a final size. I don't usually cut parts final size right off the hop, but this is a final size on this one. this whole 2x4 gets cut to the same dimension. So I can just put that cut piece there, make sure it's flush. It's flush with the blade. It's a bit late, but that support should have been out there a bit more. You notice I use the same piece for the guide each time. Don't want to make a copy of a copy. Now I hope that's enough for another piece. It might not be, because this is actually a stud. This is not an 8-foot 2x4. It's not long enough, so I need another piece. Oh, crud. Okay. Yeah, I forgot that until just then. The last delivery of 2x4s I bought, I picked them up at the lumberyard, and the guy said, oh, a stud is a lot cheaper than an 8-foot, and it's only a couple inches shorter. Well, well, that bit me in the butt there, didn't it? Generally, for what I'm doing with 2x4s, that's not a problem. That offcut difference isn't going to make a difference. That is a very, just a hair too long. So I'm going to trim both of them at once. I think I can eyeball the amount. So there's a little trick you can use. So what I did was I pushed the workpiece against the blade, not hard, just up to there. And then I lifted the blade so it was barely touching the workpiece. I gave the workpiece a push and deflected the blade a little, and then pulled it up, and that gave me, you know, just a little tiny bit of a cut. And that's, I would say that's as perfect as it's going to be. So these 2x4s, I'm going to try to rip these 3/4 of an inch, because one of my shims on this product is 1.5 inches wide, and I thought, hey, 2x4 is 1.5 inches wide too. So we'll go to 3/4, and I make my shims 3/4 high generally, except on a cover I'll make it 1/2 inch high. Okay, so that's 10 top shims, 10 bottom shims. The tops are 3/4, the bottoms are 1/2 inch. Okay, next is some 1 inch wide, 3/4 inch thick shims. I should get 5 across on these two pieces. Now, I need to make a rabbit in those. So part of the flexibility in this version of a double screen board is going to be in the removability of this center shim, because this customer has 10 frame equipment, and actually 6 frame equipment and 5 frame equipment. So I suggested, I could build this so that you could use 10 frame or 5 frame equipment. So meaning you can set a 5 frame nuke here and a 5 frame nuke here. But if you want to set a 10 frame colony on top here, I'll make this removable. Okay. So that doesn't get fastened down. And also what I'd like to do is build in some way to locate that in the center where it needs to be. These end pieces are going to be staggered so that they offer an entrance, a 2-inch entrance on each side when mated with these pieces here. Okay, so that's kind of what you're going to be looking at. And Bob's screen bottom boards have the holes centered this way here. I'm going to center the holes this way and put them here, so that then they can end up being on either side of that center divider. So you can see this is too long. This is longer than this, or longer than the space between. So what I need to do is cut an 1.5 inch wide, a 1/4 inch deep rabbet in these. It's actually a dado in these because they have 3 sides, right? So I'm going to do that. I'll just do that on table. So I'll use a speed tenon cut to do that, just like I did the center shims on the 3-way pallets. So all of these parts here need to have that done. So this is also one of those rare situations where I will use the rip fence in conjunction with the miter cage. And you saw me do this with the center shims. I'm going to change over to the dado blade because, again, the dado blade makes that nice crisp corner, which I could get away with not using the dado blade, but then I would just trim the corners of the piece that's going to fit into it. But I think in the long run, having a nice crisp corner there will serve well. You know how crappy beekeeping equipment ends up getting, and I don't want him having too much trouble trying to fit that center divider in and out. He may end up just tacking it in there if that's how he uses it most of the time. It would be good if it was in there permanently, particularly because I'm using 3/8 plywood and cutting it across the grain, because this stuff is tending to bow in that direction. That center divider would go a long way to making that flat and rigid. Now, there's going to be full length shims on the sides, both top and bottom, and a 1/2 inch shim on the bottom in the center affixed. So there's actually going to end up being quite a bit of rigidity built in. No riving knife with the dado blade. Need the dado blade. And for this purpose, it doesn't matter how wide this blade is. That dado is going to be 1.5 inches wide. I can't make 1.5 inches wide dado. So, you know, I don't know, I'll load it up. I'll put the chippers and stuff in there. You could do it with one blade. You could do it with multiple blades. I think I'll just put the chippers in and let the chips fall where they may. See what I did there? I always have to watch these blades. You put them in the right direction. They don't cut very well if you put them in backwards. And I was going to say, ask me how I know that, but I don't think I've ever done it. I'm sure they wouldn't cut well at all. Okay, now that can go up 1/4 inch. I'll start it intentionally low. I really like this miter gauge I bought. It's a little expensive, but man, is it ever nice. It's got so many ways to use it. It's got the detents to lock things right in. Bang on. Different angles here. I don't generally use anything but 90, but if I ever need to. Okay, so there's this little fence on here. I don't ever see that side face away from me. It's kind of funny. It says Incra shop stop. The cut stops here. So I guess it does, because that's the stop where the, I want that to stop right there. Okay, so now I can set my stop right there. And then I need to go measure 1.5 inches from there. and set the fence at that mark. Okay, I'm going to make it intentionally a little smaller, so then I can just bump it into place. Okay, I think I've got enough room. Okay, let's cut one. Before 9/16. I think that's actually good enough. Not quite a quarter of an inch deep. It's kind of a fine-tuning adjustment on here. I want to just move that back a little bit. I think that's going to work. A little bit deeper though. Just a hair deeper. And the depth of that really is relative to the length of that other piece. So I can massage that if they're, they're a little bit tight. Okay, so that's what I need on all those pieces, 20 of those. And again, I was going to say to minimize tear out, move that in order to do what I want to do. I'll get 2 of these going, and we'll just cut down on the tear out a little bit. Yeah, it makes a nice job right there. I might regret it, but I'm going to defer drilling the holes until they're done. Until I'm done assembling. I'm anxious to see how this goes first. And I'd like to have that center piece in to sort of figure out where the holes are going to go. Okay. Now, the top takes these 3/4 inch thick pieces. And again, this is not part of the assembly right now, so maybe I need to just leave that out of the equation. So 2 of those is what I need. Some of these pieces are cut over length just so I can trim like I usually do. So this piece definitely goes just like that. I just have to make sure I don't get this piece, you know. So I've got a 3/4 inch piece to nail it to a 3/8 substrate. And that's a little weird, but I've got inch staples here. This is a Metabo, brand new Metabo stapler. That's the medium, or the narrow crown stapler. The narrow crown that I have is a Porter cable. It seems like a nice stapler, but it's starting to blow itself apart in this area. It's broken the plastic, and I can't imagine being out of business with that when we need to make frames. So I bought her a brand new one. And sometimes she's trying to work there and I'm trying to work here, and we're trying to share a stapler. And this Metabo, I think, is lighter than the Porter cable, easier on her delicate wrist. So I'm going to try it out, see if I made a good choice or not. Okay, and again, it's only an inch staple, so it's not going to penetrate into that too far. Yeah, I did cut these oversized a little bit. Okay, a little bit over width too, probably. Yeah. All right. So, so this edge lines up there, and so I'm going to glue that and screw it down, nail it down. Okay, on goes the tight bond. Now, I flipped that over because it was yellow on one side, but I can't help that because it has to go on that way. I want to get reasonable coverage here because the shims on this project are, you know, because I've got some pretty thin material here, the shims are pretty pretty structural. That thing goes off like a howitzer. And again, I need to put enough screws in, or enough nails in, to keep it nice and flat, but really it's the glue that does the heavy lifting here. You just have to get your groove on, figure out the process. Okay, this is the way. Okay, so now this side, these can go either way up. I'll put this side up against there, so that flushes there. What I need is a 2-inch, I need a 2-inch spacer there so that I can register this one against this one once I get motoring along here. One a little bit on the end grain. That is perfectly flush. Nice job. Now, hopefully that's 2 inches. It's supposed to be 2 inches. Yes, it's 2 inches. All right. So what I need to do is I need to go, what is this? 2, 3, that's 3 1/8. So this piece needs to sit inboard 1/8. Well, I mean, if it doesn't, it's got to be 2 inches. He wants a 2-inch opening, so I have to match that up. And I get it. People say 2-inch opening, and it's like, well, somewhere around there, you know. But you know me. You say 2-inch opening, it's got to be within a 32nd. 2 inches. Okay. So that's it for the top. Let's see how I did here with my removable piece. Oh, look at that. It's perfect. Wow. I never expected it to fit that well. Just a little slop. I think what I want to do though is I might just chamfer that end a little, because there's always going to get junk stuck in that corner, and I don't want it to hamper the operation. I can't believe how nicely that fits. It probably fits nicely because I've oversized this. This is well, it's man, it's just right. Don't change a thing, right? It works. Don't change it. Okay, so let's do we'll do all the tops. Get my groove on and do all the tops, and then we'll switch gears and we'll do all the 1/2-inch shims on the bottoms. So again, we'll flush this like that. Yeah, that's all good. It's just that these always get glued on exactly the same side. They don't flip over because they're alternating sides of the entrances. Squeeze it on the inside, doesn't matter. It's not going to change a thing. It'll just harden there and it'll seal that up all the much better. All the much better? Is that right? Okay, so again, we got 2-inch here. So sure, we'll just draw a line there. Is that what we should do? We got glue there is why. And then I can line that up with the line. That little Metabo really goes off with a bang. 2, 8 to go. Boy, that's noisy. I don't think that Porter cable is that noisy. Should have a little block of wood. 2-inch block of wood. But again, like I said, prototyping sucks because you don't really go the extra mile to really do it right. You just kind of, well, you do it right, but you don't set up all your proper jigs and stuff necessarily. So line that up with the line. You want a noise, if you're nailing on something that's got a hollow under it. When I flip these over and I start nailing, that's gonna be really loud. I'll have to put my ear protection on. So what I don't want is squeeze out in these rabbets that I made. Better not get glue all over that. And told the guy if I don't like it, I'll bring it back, but can't get it covered in glue. I don't think I'll take it back. It's doing the job. It's doing the job it's supposed to do. I should have just cut these to proper width instead of messing around like this. It's just the way I am. Then I could just flush it up. I wouldn't be measuring things. Oh well, it is what it is, right? You may notice something new here. I don't usually wear a ring. My wife and I went out Friday night to a charity banquet, and I like to wear my wedding ring, so I do. On social occasions I'll wear it, but I don't wear it around the farm for the point of safety on two fronts. It's safety for the ring and it's safety for me. Rings can get, any kind of jewelry can get caught in things on the farm, and there's been people get their finger ripped out because they got a ring on. And safety for the ring, because I got married, I wore it all the time, and I broke one of the diamonds in it, so I had to have that fixed, and so I decided to not wear it while I'm working on the farm. I've just not remembered to take it off in 3 days, that's all. I like wearing it, but I also like to keep my fingers too, and I don't want to break it again. So I don't know that you've ever seen a ring on my finger in my videos. You might be thinking, oh, did he just get married? No, it wasn't that long ago, but it wasn't just recently. Uh-oh, you can hear that sounds different out of staples. Uh-oh, there we go. This one goes really deep. I've got it adjusted up as far as I can, but it's got a lot of pressure. I don't have the regulator. The regulator's on the other hose over there, so it's running full tilt, going a bit deep. Okay, so he wants to mirror the center shim that's on the top, on the bottom, but he wants this one fixed in place. These shims are 1/2 inch on each side, one on each end. And there's no entrance, of course, on the bottom of this. So that's what we're looking at. And these are oversized as well, so I need to be mindful of my flush side. That's easy to tell. I can feel that. Now, I can drive a very long staple through here. Is there any point of driving a long one? Probably not. But I can't drive a real long staple through here because I have 1/2 and 3/8. And so that's just over 3/4. That's 7/8. That's 7/8 thick. And these are inch staples, so that's going to go through. So I need to change out for my 3/4 inch staples. I'd like to put my inch staple in here. I don't really want to change out. I get the other stapler and run a 3/4 inch staple there. So you can see here, this Porter cable is self-destructing. I really don't know why. I don't think it's anything that we've done. I don't know. So I'll use the Porter cable for the center. I do need a setup block or something, or I guess I could measure it. I've only got 10 of them, it's not that bad. So I'll flush this end and this side. And then I can measure that up. I was wondering, I could measure them all and just mark them. I'll do that. That'll save me some work. So we're 16 5/8 wide. Okay, so here's your math: 16 5/8, and subtract 1/2 inch and 1/2. So that's 3/4. That's really easy. So you could do that 2 ways. You could say 16 5/8 minus 1 1/2 inches, which is easy because it's 15 1/8, and then take 1/2 of that, which is 7 9/16. And this will be probably easier. 7 9/16 as a reference for the side. if I was doing tons of these, I'd just make a little block that width. But I'm just going to run these through and mark them. Just gonna check that my math is right. Yeah, they're not going through. Normally I'd let my project dry before I trim it. However, there's a chance I might be able to deliver these tomorrow to the customer. So I'm going to cut them while the glue is wet, but I need to run the saw in what's called bypass mode because the wet glue can trigger the blade break, and I've proven that. I've done it. It's not cheap. Costs a lot of money when you do that. worked ahead a bit and drilled 2 3/4 inch holes in these with my extremely expensive, beautiful Lee Valley 2 3/4 inch sawtooth Forstner bit. You can use a hole saw. I hate hole saws for many reasons. So I've got my nice little Arrow pneumatic T50 stapler, and it just blows staples in really nice. For 10 of these boards, I need 40 of these pieces of screen. And you might think I could go across there, but I can't really, and I should actually place my divider just so I don't get the screen too far over and it'll interfere. That one is complete. 9 more to go. Staple. Say hi. Well, that's all there is to this, and hopefully we'll see how these work soon. I think I'm going to deliver these tomorrow, so hopefully they'll be in place, in the coming days, and we'll be able to get some feedback on how well they actually work. So, thanks for watching.